Paul in South Lyon, Michigan. You are on the air with Senator Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. Senator, I heard your great idea of Democrats debating Republicans before the primaries.
Right.
And I'm sure the Democrats love this idea because we have all the issues on our side, and the Republicans only have billionaires on their side. My question is, will there be empty podiums on stage for all the scared Republicans who don't show up?
Paul, it's unfortunately more complicated than that. What we're dealing with is, before I formally entered the race, the Democratic National Committee issued a proposal calling for 6 debates. Frankly, I don't think that is enough, and we have written to the chairperson of the Democratic Party, Debbie Schultz-Wasserman, to suggest otherwise, that we think we need more debates. So what my proposal, Paul, was dealt with 3 elements. Number one, the need for more debates and the need to begin them earlier. Number 2, to include Republicans. And your point is exactly right. The truth of the matter is the Republicans get away with murder because what they stand for is very rarely discussed. And I think, as I've mentioned on this program, I'm a ranking member of the Budget Committee. Very few Americans know what was in the Republican budget because the media really didn't write about it. Throwing 27 million Americans off of health insurance, giving huge tax breaks to the top 0.2%, making massive cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, education, $90 billion over a 10-year period in Pell Grants, cutting massively in nutrition programs for hungry kids and Americans. Do the American people know that is what the Republican point of view is? Do they know that major candidate after major candidate for president now wants to make very significant cuts in Social Security? And some want to move to the privatization of Social Security. So I think the degree that we can get them up on the platform and expose their ideas, I think it works for us big time. Because what media often thinks campaigns are about is it's a soap opera, it is a baseball game. But we have got to flush out these Republicans and let the American people know what these guys stand for. Because what they stand for is very much in opposition to what the vast majority of the American people stand for. Third point that I made in my proposal is I think the Democrats have made a tragic mistake in not developing a 50-state strategy. And this is not an idea that I came up with. My fellow Vermonter Howard Dean came up with this idea some years ago when he was chairman of the DNC. The idea that you abdicate large parts of this country, you don't plant the flag in Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, many of these so-called conservative states. You don't change what goes on in those states unless you begin that discussion, unless you find good candidates, unless you raise public consciousness. So I think we should have debates in Mississippi, debates in Alabama, and tell the people in Utah that we have not forgotten them.
You know, Senator, what you're proposing is like the Lincoln-Douglas debates. That was a general election debate, a Democrat versus a Republican. When did we stop doing that?
Right. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah. Extraordinary.